What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN, USD. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it, okay? It is the 25th day of July, and here we are at about 21 hours, 35 minutes left in the day. Shout out to Colby. Colby, you're the man. Really enjoyed talking to you, man. 1.5 cents is the price. 21 hours, 35 minutes left in the day here. We are down about 1.75% today. Bitcoin's down about 1% as well, so starting off the day on a bearish note, but I have a feeling that things are going to come back up here pretty soon. We're actually probably closer to an area to bounce rather than an area to proceed lower, but perhaps we get a final little flash crash, a little flush out to the downside, pile on some shorts, deleverage the longs, continue to rally. OnyxCoin here, I had this line drawn in the beginning of the video. This line right here, we are just above this trend line. And I actually don't really like trend lines like this. I think they can help you to a certain degree, but how I use them to help me is not to expect a bounce here, and then if it breaks, we're going down. I more expect that we do break these kind of trend lines. So oftentimes it's best to buy here. And if we're looking at Bitcoin on that note, you know, right here, I mean, this trend line here from a low taking you up here, how well did that hold up? It didn't hold up at all. In fact, you'd be better off buying below the trend line than you would be above the trend line. Mark my words. I think that we're probably at the right area to bounce. Time will tell. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I would expect that we are closer to an area to bounce rather than to go lower. And from here, same kind of idea, but maybe instead of going to the downside below this trend line, perhaps what we do is we find support above it. We could find support above it. Sometimes that happens in exceptionally bullish times. That happens. OnyxCoin is an exceptionally bullish coin, so I could see that happening. Overall, this. Somebody asked if this was an inverse head and shoulders pattern. I could see the dynamic that you're talking about. Maybe it is. I think that this head is a little bit too big, in my opinion. It's too broad to be an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but I see the dynamic at play here, right? You got like your left shoulder here, you got your right shoulder playing out. It could be a slanted inverse head and shoulders, but it just, the head seems too big to me. But maybe, you never know. We're on a daily time frame here. That is a significant time frame. So if this is an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which I'm not saying it is, but if it is, the way that you measure it is you take the low to the high of the pattern and you put it at the neckline, which I'm just eyeballing it here because, you know, it's slanted, so probably coming down where we would break out, it'd be like right there. The measure move would take you all the way up to about 3.5 cents. I don't think that we're going to go to 3.5 cents. I think we're going to go a lot higher than that, but maybe that measure move is just totally pointless because I don't know if this is an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but regardless of what it is or what it isn't, what we are doing right now is we are at an area of prior resistance, at an area of prior support here, at an area of prior resistance here, and prior resistance here. We are likely going to find support in this zone, if not a little bit lower, and that's okay if we do go a little bit lower. Looking at this from a relative low here to a relative high, we're just above the golden ratio, and the golden ratio is right down there at about 1.5 cents. We're at 1.52 cents now, so drop a little bit lower maybe. 1.44 cents at the lowest. I think 1.44 cents might be perfect, actually. Let's see. Because yeah, if we go down there, we're breaking just below this trend line, and that can be where we find support, and then we move up higher. I think these trend lines, again, they're not useful in determining where the support is, just where it isn't. It's likely not going to be here. We likely do move lower. Sometimes they uphold. Oftentimes they don't, though. Oftentimes they don't, right? It's like if you're looking at this trend line here from a low, connecting it down to these lows, right? Low here, connecting. The best time to buy was actually below the trend line. You see what I'm saying? It's like a psyop. It's there to mess with you, man. That's what it is. And if you're looking at this too, perhaps the best time to sell would have been above this trend line. Maybe not right above it. Technically right above it, it came back down, but I mean, here we are actually back testing it as support even. That's kind of nice to see. We don't have to go lower, but let's actually look at this on the 1 hour time frame and see if we can come up with anything here. So looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, I want to say we have bullish divergence, but I don't think that's what this is. Although we are moving lower with lesser volume, so I think that's encouraging. The MACD does have some form of bullish divergence here. The stochastics do not. It's got bullish divergence on the histogram and on the oscillator, so I'm okay with that. The RSI is at an area that we like to bounce from, but we could go lower. I'm totally fine with the idea that we go lower, and if we do, maybe we go down to like 1.44 cents at the lowest. I don't think that we'd go below that. In fact, I'm surprised that we're even this low right now. So the odds, and looking at this here with these 3 lows right in this area and even this low in this area, I wouldn't be surprised if we went lower. I would not expect us to bounce from here. Maybe we bounce a little bit momentarily and then we come back down. But I would expect at least something that's right around 1.5 cents, if not just below 1.5 cents. We're at 1.52 cents now. So basically in this area, but a little bit lower. One last little shakeout. Maybe it happens now. Maybe we bounce first and then we come down later in the day. But at some point today, we should have our low, which might imply that over the weekend we see a little bit of a bounce or a move up. And then going into next week, we're getting a jump start on this next phase to the upside. If we're looking at this on a 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour 4-hour RSI does have bullish divergence. That is bullish divergence right there. That's a really good look. The MACD has bullish divergence. The stochastics also have bullish divergence. Yes. So all three of them showing signs of weakness to the bearish effect, strength to the bullish effect. We are oversold in a lot of these categories, and I think that it's time to reverse the trend here. And again, we are very, very near, but not at our golden ratio from a low to a high here, right? Very, very near, but not at the golden ratio. Perhaps what we do first is get into that golden ratio zone, and then we can move on up. Yeah, that's the expectation there. Let's see. Let's look at the daily time frame here. Daily time frame, lower lows in the RSI, higher lows in the price. That's hidden bullish divergence. You could look that up. What is hidden bullish divergence? It should tell you something like it's when the price has a higher low and the indicator has a lower low, or the oscillator has a lower low. So we have hidden bullish divergence. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's nothing to be afraid of. The MACD is crossing down, but whatever, we've crossed above the zero on the oscillator, so I don't care that we're in a bearish formation here. We're moving down. Of course, it'll be crossed red. And the stochastics are in the oversold zone right now. So I think closing today red, or at least if it's not too green, I think that closing today around this area would actually be beneficial from a point of the stochastics. And from the RSI, it doesn't really matter. As long as we're not closing below like 1.35 cents, I think that we're okay. If we do, we can get to that, but I highly doubt that that's what's going to happen. It's a little bit of a disappointment. It's a little bit of a bummer that we've gone below these areas that we were expecting to uphold. It always is. But the thing is, guys, sometimes that happens. And oftentimes, I should say oftentimes that happens where the price will go below your expectations. It'll also exceed your expectations to the upside. You just have to be patient for that, right? It'll shake you out. It's going to do its damnedest to shake you out beforehand. Remember, before we had this magnificent pump, from a high to a low in the course of a 2-day span, we dropped 24% right before this massive 260% pump over the course of like 5 days. So as a famous YouTuber in the crypto space, Ivan on Tech, as he would say, crypto is always pumpiest, or is always the dumpiest before it's the pumpiest, right? We're always the dumpiest before the pumpiest, and always the pumpiest before the dumpiest as well. And we're doing a little dumpy right now. So I think this is actually a foreshadowing of good things to come. We're shaking out the weak hands. Don't be the weak hands. Don't get shaken out. Be patient. Be strong hands. Buy into the pain. Buy into the red, the downside, and you will be rewarded even more so whenever the upside comes. The daily time frames look ready to reverse, but perhaps we go a little bit lower first. Okay, weekly time frame here, very bullish on the RSI. Absolutely phenomenal looking weekly RSI. We just got to get into the overbought zone. That's it, man. Stochastics are, I guess they're kind of bearish, honestly, but overall bullish. I like the higher lows, but I guess right here it does look kind of bearish, for being honest, and that could imply weeks to come of bearishness, but I don't foresee that. I wouldn't weigh too heavy on that. The MACD looks ready to rock and roll, you guys. It really does. You've got higher lows in the MACD, higher lows in the price. I think any day now, any week now should be our week. We're going to see weeks like this where we move up 122% in a week. Weeks like this where we move up 293%, 253%, stuff like that. Multi-100% weeks. It's coming. It might be next week. It's probably not this week, but over the next, how many weeks would this be until the end of August? Until like August 25th from here to there. 5 weeks. Over the next 5 weeks, we should see some glorious upside taking place. So just be patient. I got nothing else for you. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.